How many of us are tired after today? Go live.
I am. Well, my sinuses. That's why.
Yeah. Woo-hoo.
Cool.
We're live. See how many people. I know, like, I wanted to take a nap all day today. Like, it was a good thing it was busy because I wanted to curl up. Let me turn off my don't bother me setting, or turn on that, I should say. There we go. Wow, so it's us 5. And so we have some people joining us. Thank you for joining us tonight. The fun thing with our Elite After Hours, we always do this on the nights after our psychic fair. So we're a little punch drunk. We're probably running on adrenaline. But this is where you can ask us any sort of question about any type of readings, modalities, teachings. But the only thing you can ask is for free readings because we're wiped out. But if you, right, I'm tired, and I'm not one.
You're going to read for me.
Hey, Laura. One of these days we'll get Laura on with us. Laura's one of our readers. A little camera shy, Laura. But feel free to ask us questions. Hi, Marlene. Hey, Sandy.
One of the questions I know I want to address before the evening is done.
Mm-hmm.
If 2020 was the year of the tower, what's 2021?
Okay, we'll come back to that.
We'll circle back to that one.
Hey,
Put that on your burner. Think about that one for a while.
But we might have to address that now because we have no other questions coming in just yet. And we don't have a rune reader to be like, okay, what rune would well, Hank, do you know enough on the runes to like what rune would 2021 be?
No.
No.
I could make it up, but no, I don't remember any of that. No, I would like to think that though there might be like an energy around something that every year is what you make of it, because you always have choice no matter what energies are present. So why couldn't 2021 be just the best year of all time?
Mm-hmm.
Mm-hmm. You saw how 2020 went, right?
Yeah.
Like you were there for the whole thing.
I was. And
Australia burning, we lost Kobe.
Oh, did you
killer
see
viruses, all that shit?
I even made a funny Christmas card. Maybe I'll find it and throw it up there. It was like us running away from 2020 and running into 2021. It was a fun Christmas card that we made. I'll find it because let's find where it is.
Hey, Lori. Well, so Laura says 2021 is temperance.
I was thinking out loud, and that's what I saw as the card, but I hate that card. Patience.
Tell us how you really feel.
Why do you hate patience, Joan?
I don't have time for that. I want it now. I know there's work. That card comes up when people have work to do. And so, Laura, me too. It's when people have work to do, that's the card that appears. And I've seen that, I see it more often than not. There's still 72 cards in a deck. I pull multiple decks. These cards repeat themselves across decks. So that's a hard message to hear. Because you want to tell someone, oh, look, it's the temperance card. Let's talk about this. And I just go right for it. It says patience. I'm so sorry.
See, and I guess I always equate the temperance card to more like an alchemy card. Like what two things in your life do you have that are technically like raw ingredients almost that you could be synthesizing together? What two things can you be pushing together to make something new out of it? Not necessarily like a flash in the pot, like, ooh, brand spanking new, but like I've always looked at it as more of like a synergy card.
The silence. Oh,
no. I was on a mission to find this picture and I just found it. So it's downloading now and then I'll upload it. I like what Ernie said. It's the year of the vaccine. That was good.
Oh, that's a nice card.
Okay, here we go.
Somebody's got to come up with the new tarot that starts from 2020 as the Fool's Journey starts and then goes through.
Yikes.
So this is one of the, we didn't send it out to everyone, but we made this one joke Christmas card, and we had Happy New Year, and then we had 2020.
That's amazing.
I love it.
Oh, let me take the banner down just so you can see like the full scope of what. Wait, where is this banner? Oh, there it is. So you can see we have like the little protest. We have the fires going, the virus.
God, yes.
We got the murder hornets we put in there, and then for 2021 we had the vaccine, so we got Ernie covered. And then even in 2020 it was toilet paper rolls. So it's like.
I love that.
Yeah, that was our little, or just a little fun for the New Year Christmas cards that we sent out. Oh, and for everybody who didn't know, that's my wife and my 2 kids that are in there, along with me, of course. See, give me a green screen, and like I start doing all kinds of crazy stuff.
Even turning on the green screen setting, and I didn't know to go in there and turn it off, and then was doing a selling live, and was it a fluoride or something we were trying to show? And of course it wouldn't. Like, what's going on? And I'm like, oh, green screen.
Yeah, that happened the first time I did a recording with Hank, and he's like, I got these cool green screens, and I was doing the belly dance videos, and he's like, did you know that the pants you wore have green in them? It's like, what do you mean? He's like, torso floating.
That would have been a whole new class. Like, if you can't tell what I'm doing,
then by God,
you fail the class. Catherine says 2020 tarot deck. What the heck? That could be a pretty harsh deck if somebody were to come up with it.
Right? We're not worried about the tower card or the death card. Oh my God, it's the quarantine card.
Right. Go home and think about yourself. You know, that's what that quarantine card would be. We missed you, Holly. Holly didn't come in. Bummed she missed the fair today. Second COVID vaccine. Has her feeling like she got hit by a bus.
That means it's working. That means it's working.
Let's see. Oh, green. Yeah, it was green candle. Sandy was trying to help me do that one. What the world? And so then some of the viewers were like, ha, you know, old people, technology. And I'm like, I'm not that old.
Oh, we are not old people. Not even close.
Well, you're never old when you reach that age that you thought old people were. Right. That old keeps moving farther away from you. I've noticed. Oh, Lori says she wants to make a Cleveland tarot deck. That would be an interesting one.
Ooh, that'd be wild.
So which card would be the there's always next year for our sports teams card? Back to temperance. The
optimism card. Or wishful thinking, maybe. I don't know.
Oh, right.
See, we wouldn't have a tower. We would have the burning river card.
There we go.
Okay, let's build this deck. We got this.
I like that. I like that.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, Marlene, or I'm sorry, Laura. Marlene said she would buy it if you made that deck. Oh, Maria, Hank's mom wants to know how grandma's doing.
Hey, how are you?
She came. What's that? Oh, she came over and she was making trouble on my side, and she actually asked about both my parents and said to tell them hello. So she specifically had asked about you, Mom. So that's just know she was thinking of you.
Yeah, she missed the shenanigans. She missed the shenanigans she can do with Grandma.
Created a lot of shenanigans today.
I told Grandma maybe we'll just have to have like a little party or something and invite all the people over after everybody's gets in their shot and everything.
So the suggestions coming in for the Cleveland deck, the Burning River for the tower, with the tower in the background of the flames. And Laura says Hangman would be the next year card. For there's always next year.
I like that. I like that. Wait, so would that mean like the Three of Swords would just be like a scoreboard with like 0 to whatever score that you lost by? Like, ooh, not yet.
I think the Indians don't they? Is it this Thursday or next Thursday they have their first game? Because you're getting ready to come out of spring training.
It's this Thursday, and then April 5th is supposed to be the first home game.
Oh,
next Monday. Yep.
So yay.
I always feel so weird because I am the least sports-minded person you will ever meet, and everybody in my office usually I can always tell when sports seasons are in because, oh my God, you catch the game, it was amazing, and I'm just going I don't know. Like I've never felt so like an outsider in a city that I feel like I belong so well to. Because like the whole sports thing.
Baseball's about the only one that I can get into. The rest of them, like, yeah. Oh, hi, Shauna. So feel free, guys. Questions, comments. You can pick our brains about anything that we do, that we study, that we read with, that we do healings with. But we didn't tell everybody who is with us tonight. So if you're new and you're not used to seeing our faces, right next to me is Hank. Hank, you do healing work, sound. You use all these noise makers, which is why I keep you on the other side of the wall.
I haven't gone really good. You might have been able to hear me through the wall today.
No, well,
No.
I was so busy that I wouldn't have had time to really listen for it either. But quick little intro. How do you and what do you do?
I mix Peruvian shamanism, sound healing, access consciousness to create custom sessions for people with the focus of letting them find, know, be, and express their unique voice in this world without getting caught up on other people's judgments.
Was that a rehearsed elevator speech?
No,
Sounded
but I've
like
said it many times. It comes out slightly different each time.
Okay.
No, but that's, I guess it's not super rehearsed to just practice over and over again. Yeah.
And then on the other side of Hank, we have Alex. And then what you do with all the cards. I know, because it's backwards on this thing.
I
So
know, I've been practicing that too.
Here we go. The girl with the creepy skeleton on her wall.
Yes. Who's knitting things with pointed stuffs and
I have steaks. I have sharp steaks. Hey, you laugh. Joan's down there doing the same thing. Like,
I just pulled
yeah,
mine out.
there it is. There it is. I actually just added a few new pieces to my throwing set. Not the little crystal dick portion, that stays as. My little throwing bone set, I just added a vertebrae piece, a leg bone piece, a button, and a horseshoe piece in
you
there.
have a baculum.
What?
You don't have a baculum?
I do not.
Oh, we have to get you one because you have to have penises in all of your throwing sets.
I would be okay with that. I would be very much fine
We're
with
gonna
this.
get you a raccoon baculum or something.
Don't joke. Don't promise me things, Melissa.
Don't tease.
But it was good. It was I had been collecting other little chunks of throwing pieces, and finally did over this past weekend kind of like a little get together with my pieces. Went, okay, everybody has to get along. We're all going to live together now. And today was actually my first time throwing with them, and I had really good success with them. Actually, I was really happy with those additions to my divination pieces. So
Nice.
The arsenal is growing.
You throw little penises. You throw
My
bones.
clients get to throw those. My clients throw dicks at me. That's the fun
true.
part.
And they shuffle cards,
Comment.
and then you lay them out patterns.
Yeah, you throw little dicks at me, I throw my little divination pieces, we throw it on an anatomical Venus, and we see what happens. We see what's there, and then the cards kind of flush out key points on the map that we're looking at there. It's been great. I love it. I love my new shtick. It's amazing. I am so blessed because I literally get to one, throw cards around, and then two, sit across from clients going, are those little penises? Like, yeah, you can touch them. I know you want to. It's okay.
Penis, that's what you should say. You can touch my penis.
You can touch my penis. It's fine. Everybody wants to. It's no big deal.
Well, see, as you're talking about they throw penises and then you throw, your throwing piece. Like in my mind, there's like this war of things thrown across the room.
Yeah, that's the other reason
From one
Melissa
side,
banished
bones
me.
from another side.
Yeah, that's why I'm on Hank's side now. Is because
I
Hank's
think-
making a bunch of noise and I'm throwing shit across the wall. Yeah.
But people, you can't hear their surprise because the bowls kind of drown them out.
Yeah.
Oh my.
Oh wow.
But for next time, we should have a little video of people doing that so they can kind of really get a visual of what, exactly what you do. We could play that as part of our little shtick next time.
It's like
Oh,
Dungeons and Dragons. No, she's playing Dicks and Bones.
As we do.
Well, here's a quick question then. What kind of divination is this called?
So I take kind of a spin on, if I can find my little pieces here. We all kind of have that image in our head where like the little grannies and stuff used to throw bones and used to throw pieces for divination. I lovingly refer to mine as throwing pieces. It's the same thing. It's fun little bones. You can see a little die in there. I found a skeleton key. He's lived in there for a while. And then I get to throw little dicks around and you get to throw those at me. I usually just call it throwing pieces or If we're going to be a little bit more technical or politically correct, I usually say these are for our love and sensuality readings. These get a little risque, and with your permission, I'll be very honest with you. And I have yet to find a person that when I go, hey, how blunt can I be? They're like, oh my God, as honest as you get, lay it on me. I want to hear everything. I'm like, yes, thank you. Because I have things I want to say.
So our next question is, does size matter?
Well, I mean, I'm gonna say that no, but also, I mean, I guess I do have big ones and little ones, so.
Well, we should have been prepared because I have the real big ones at the store, and we should have like, here, you're going to need this tonight.
You're gonna want to hang on to this one. Don't you have one living somewhere in the shop somewhere?
Wait a minute. Don't we have to make another altar like we did a couple years ago?
Oh, that was hilarious.
But it was helpful.
It
actually that was a good altar. There was intent in there, and it had good results.
What altar was this, Joan?
So there were many large phalluses, wine, cheese, cake. We had a statue in there. The late night happenings after the doors are locked.
But in all honesty, in that moment, that's where the creativity comes in, and it was really good intent to put in energy to bring in the masculine energy out of us to empower the women that were there, plus to look for that energy to bring in the most honest and pure of intent people to come in, to our lives or to that person's life that we were focusing on.
Right. Well, and Kathy brings up a good point. If people are excited about throwing dicks, I can't imagine they'd be shy about hearing what they mean.
I mean, again, it's one of those people that like, I am so privileged that people trust me enough to let them kind of peek behind this curtain of their life. Because I mean, that's the whole point of divination. It's your reader is looking at cards and signs or talking to spirit and is telling you or sharing things with you that ultimately mean nothing to us. The things that we put down and say to you aren't things that have relevance in our lives. They're things that have relevance in your lives. And a lot of times we do stumble upon some pretty personal topics and pretty like close to the chest things that will come out during readings. And I am always just so tickled to death when people are willing to let me be kind of exciting and not vulgar in a tasteless way, but definitely cavalier in my vocabulary choices with what I am and am not allowed to say to you about your love life, and whether or not that dick is good for you or not. But that is neither here nor there.
Hey, anyways.
All right. See, Joan's got it. Joan's got my back.
I got you.
Alex, I'm curious, like, has anybody ever come over for a reading not knowing what you were signing up for, and it was a guy that gets all uncomfortable or anything like that? Or has it only been for women that you've had people, throw dicks at you?
I've read for 2 guys one of which was JD.
Well, he doesn't count.
Wow.
He didn't show up today, so he gets
Hold on,
no
I'm
love.
texting him right now.
Hang on, yeah. No, I had another gentleman come in just, hey, I heard you do, love and relationship readings. I walked him through, here's what I do. And he went, great, what do I do? I was like, pick up the little penises and throw them. We'll see what happens. And it was great. It was actually a lot of fun because I typically with female readers, I use my female clients, like you take the idea of that masculine energy and through their feminine energy, they're pulling that masculine energy out and kind of seeing where it's landing on my Venus mat. Whereas with my male clients, it's almost like it's like a big stamp on the female portion of like, well, here's what I am. And it was a completely different feeling within the reading, but it was still very cutting to your relationship with yourself, your relationship with your masculine, your feminine, with other people around you, and how all of those intersect at the same time on you. So of the 2 gentlemen that I have had the courtesy of reading for, both were very tickled to death and both were very professional. I've yet to have someone shy away from it. I've yet to have someone pick them up and go, oh God, how could I? My word. Oh, like I've not had that yet.
I'm prim and proper.
Right.
So Joan, why don't you give us a quick rundown of what it is that you do, and then I'll have you answer Derek's question first. Derek's question is, what advice would you give someone who wants to get into connecting with oracle cards and spirit?
Okay, so hi, I'm Joan Clancy, and I read tarot and oracle cards, and I'm an
Hi, Joan.
intuitive. Yes, thanks. Hi. Um, I've been doing this for quite some time, off and on, and my grandmother used to read playing cards, so it's kind of like been in the family. Um, but I like Lenormand cards, tarot. I do stick to the tarot, but I incorporate oracle cards in my reading as well. And as I said, I will use 2 or 3 decks to pull from, maybe to get clarification. And if I'm clarifying, I will pick up another deck, a new deck, because if I see a repeat card out of 78 cards, I'm pulling a whole nother deck, gotta pull those cards out, and I get 2 or 3 of the same cards in another deck. It means pay attention. So, I kind of do that. I'm dabbling. Melissa's gonna don't hate me. I'm dabbling and still getting stronger in my mediumship, so that's coming into play. But Reiki healer, um, use auras. I teach and lead the development circle that is for our divination meetup. So if you want to practice using your tools, come in on the second Tuesday of every month. I'll be there. Or online, we do a mixed class too, via Zoom and online, in office. So that's what I do. Now the question. Let's go back to the question, which was, what recommendation, what advice would you give? You have to find something that you like, connect to the cards that really speak to you. If it's got a picture or imagery that you are really drawn to, that you're familiar with, for example, um, there's right now I can think of an Edgar Allan Poe. If you are a fan of Edgar Allan Poe and you see the deck, well, you can connect to his writings, you can connect to the books, you can connect to the images that speak from that deck. So start with that. Start with something that you're familiar with, and then go from there. I mean, honestly, I've got 40 some decks. I love my Justice League deck because I am a superhero fan. I don't always use it, but it's there. So find something that you can connect with, and that's the best way to get started.
And don't be afraid to experiment too. Like a lot of times, like it's kind of like exercise. Like everyone has a different kind of exercise that is best for them, that they like best. Some people like running, some people like weightlifting, some people do yoga. Divination and kind of honing your skill is the same thing. Some people do cards, some people do aura and medium, some people do rune stones, some people do, JD does the spirit drawings. Like you'll find your niche. You just have to be willing to kind of dabble and experiment until you find the thing you're like, this is what I'm good at. This is what I can do.
Yeah, I think I get the question a lot. Huh?
I said we're always twisting it, doing something different. Mm-hmm.
Well, and I know sometimes there can be like the misunderstanding that you can't buy your own deck. Wrong, false. Don't believe it. Otherwise, you could be waiting forever to get that first deck to start. Browse decks, be it at the shop or somewhere else. And if it doesn't jump out at you, just wait till something that does. Because if you try to force yourself with the deck, you're never going to use it. It's going to sit somewhere. You're not going to start learning. You're not going to start connecting. It's not about having to learn one way. Because I know sometimes tarot classes will always be like the right or way. But you don't have to start there.
Nope. Nope. And you don't have to use the book either. But if you really want to buy a deck, on April 3rd, I will be at the store doing readings. I will help you spend your money. So come on in. I love to look at all the decks.
For a small fee.
Honestly, I have to say, that's why I'm actually kind of glad that you've banished me to the other side of the wall, Melissa, because when I was working on that side of the shop, I'd be reading for clients and then looking up and going, oh, I don't have that deck yet. Oh, I should have that deck next. Like, what is that? Spending the money as I'm making it. I'm like, oh God.
She's able to resist the tuning forks much easier than the tuning.
Right. They are breathtaking to look at.
But when talking about the tarot decks too, like don't necessarily limit yourself to picking oracle decks, because I started with runes and then I went to the I Ching, and I don't really use I don't use anything now, but like you find whatever it is that or throwing dice. I mean, there's all kinds of things. Melissa also had ones where you would throw the little shells from one of the, I forget which tradition now, but there's all kinds of things other than just decks. So maybe also just allow yourself to expand out and see, well, what what else might feel fun. If it's not a deck, if nothing's calling to you for there, see what other divination tools might feel light and shine to you.
Right. Well, so Joan, you'll be there 1 to 5. And we'll make a little banner with the store address because Derek's asking location and time.
Okay.
So I'll have to click away on that. And then below me, next to Joan, we have Maria. Maria, which shenanigans do you do?
A lot. No, I'm a pranic healer. I started actually as a healer. So I'm a pranic healer. I have 2 different type of Reiki that I do. Also a board certified clinical hypnotherapist and Peruvian shaman. So and I'm also and as I was doing the healing work, I started getting messages, and usually it would pertain to a person's health. So I went on and became a medical intuitive, and that was really interesting. And then I started hearing a lot of personal things, and then someone's dearly departed loved one would pop up. So I got into mediumship, and it just pretty much all incorporates. So but I do agree with Hank about, don't limit yourself with the cards. I started off with the tarot cards. I got myself a deck of tarot cards, confused the heck out of me. So I knew it wasn't for me, so I gifted to someone else. So the oracle cards works for me because I can read the energy off of it. Since I'm a healer, I usually go straight into the energy spectrum. So and of course I pick up people's energy also. So that's me.
Joan, can I ask you a question about mediumship? Unless
Hold that thought. I have a question for the healer. Oh, this way. Sorry. I forgot the camera's backwards.
Remember, you have to reverse it.
Maria, have you ever done healings over Zoom?
Not Zoom, but I can do it distant while they're asleep.
Okay. Because you mentioned about reading energy. So if like looking at us and you can see us, can you read our energy? That's where I'm going.
Well, right now, a lot of us are exhausted.
Well, of course.
Yeah.
Okay. All right. There it is.
Okay, so again, like Maria just said that like she discovered that she was adept at mediumship,
Yes.
which, correct me if I'm wrong, that is communicating with spirits that have moved on, correct?
That have crossed over.
So
or spirit guides, anything in between you and source. Medium.
Yeah.
So I guess Maria and Joan, explain to me what mediumship is, because that's not a skill that I possess. It's not something that I'm familiar with. When you say medium, my brain goes to like
steak.
Medium rare. Come on, we have class here.
I know, right?
My brain goes to almost like the TV mediums that were like reading crowds of people and talking to your dead loved ones. Like, what does it actually mean when you say the word medium? What does that mean, and what kind of things can you expect? And is it a skill you can grow? Because Joan, you just said that you're getting bigger with yours. Maria, you've said you've known that you could do it, and then that skill just kind of kept coming stronger and stronger for you.
For me, my interpretation of mediumship and being a medium is someone who can speak with the dead, someone who is passed, who is physically living on this earth and then has moved on. So things that I've picked up on, I have trained with Greg, but not only with Greg, but on my own personal level. When you have dreams with family members who have passed, they come back to you and they speak to you. Or maybe you're seeing weird people in your dreams, you're not sure who they are, but then when you describe them to someone, it ends up being someone that's related somewhere else, or that message really was for someone else and you just needed to happen to talk to the right person. But when I'm sitting here, if you and I are talking and you're thinking about someone, sometimes I can hone in on that if I pick up on it or I hear it right away. I know, having worked with someone, they said, so I'm thinking of a relative, but I'm not going to say who, doesn't give a description, and then all of a sudden, like, I can see that person. It's just how it came out. I really have to be focusing on it, and I'm still trying to figure out what feelings I'm getting that initiates that that tool to start. But I was able to describe their aunt who'd passed away, told them exactly what suit they were wearing, the jewelry they were wearing, and a couple things that they have said, and I hit it right on the mark. Now, I feel like I can't do the dog and pony show every time, but sometimes it just, it just kind of rolls out. And again, trusting what you're saying, just say it. You can't get second guess yourself.
What about you, Maria?
Hmm.
Um, well, for me, I needed to really understand what was happening to me. So I took the Insight 1 and Insight 2 training at Fellowship of Spirit. And so when I understood what was going on with me, see, I've always had contact with my grandfather. And he is the one that always comes in. And his voice is very clear. I can understand what he's saying. And he was my contact. He was my dead person, my family member, dead person contact. But when I had a client sitting there for healing, sometimes I don't feel that the client is ready to hear that. So I don't say anything. But when I know I have a feeling that they're ready to hear this, I will tell them. I had a woman at the winery. And I did a healing on her. And then after I was done, I said, can I come to you and give you a message? And she said, she was completely taken back because she came in for healing. And I said, there's this older woman, and I started describing and da da da. And she started screaming, and I'm going, oh my. And she started crying and crying and crying. And she said, you just gave me back my grandmother.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, I mean, it was just that powerful. And then I started describing a picture and a piece of jewelry, and she kept on crying and crying and crying. And she said, after it was done, she said, it was so painful because I wasn't there when she passed, and I thought I let her down. But the fact that she came in and you gave me this message, oh my gosh. I go, go home and find that picture and find that jewelry, because she put it away. She just couldn't bear to look at it.
Mm-hmm.
So it was closure for her. And sometimes it's not even just a dearly departed loved one. I didn't know I could do this. You know this, Melissa. A client came in. She wanted to contact her dog that just passed away. I didn't know I could do it. I could not promise anything. But as the reading was going on, there was another dog that came in, and that dog brought in her dog, and I started describing her. I had no clue what the dog looked like. I had no idea. And I started describing. I go, there's another dog. And she is crying, and it was actually closure for her. So.
That's wild.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Hey, Melissa, what do you think?
So Catherine asks, have rabbit bones been used for divination?
Yeah, if it is inhabited some sort of living thing at some point in time, and you feel connected to it, you feel called to it, for some reason you might have a morbid fascination with it. That, in my experience personally, is your higher power or your divine spirit going, use this, please. There's something in it that's the universe is kind of like tapping you on the shoulder and going, hey, are you paying attention? Because you keep coming back to this, you keep picking these things up. Like my bone pieces, for example, I had started collecting these before I knew what they were. It was just a bunch of random little crap that anytime I had a bookshelf set up, I had my cute little bowl, my little ceramic bowl I made when I was in elementary school. And these little random things would just live in there together. And I didn't know why. I didn't know what really controlled what went in there, but there were certain things I was like, oh, that doesn't belong. I'm not going to put that in the bowl. But there were things that always lived together. And it actually wasn't until I had joined a coven, and one of my coven sisters told me that she does bone divination with snake bones because she's always felt an affinity towards snakes. And I watched her do that, and she goes, you can incorporate any kind of things in there, shells, driftwoods, bones, pieces of trees, trinkets, odds and ends, that kind of stuff. And then I was like, oh, those are what my pieces are. That's what they're doing. They've been living together this whole time. I just didn't know what they were going to be used for until someone went, oh, here's the vocabulary word you were looking for. So absolutely, rabbit bones, snake bones, you name it. If you feel connected to it, if you feel drawn towards it, spirit and that higher power, it will find a way to move through you. It will find a way to conduit through you and get out.
So like the chicken wings I had the other night, if I threw the bones on the table, I could
Absolutely. Absolutely, Joan. Get after it. Wait,
right.
ranch or blue cheese?
I didn't use any. I like a dry rub on my wings.
Hard ass.
See, I'm all about the fev and the masochistic sauce with a little bit of that to break it up a little bit.
Okay.
I love the fev. So Catherine asks, any advice from any of us for a budding empath?
Catherine, I also love that your avatar is Eowyn, just by the way. The Lord of the Rings freak in me is very happy with that.
Whose avatar what?
Catherine's little avatar picture on Facebook is Eowyn. Sorry, I'm a token nerd. My bad. Carry on.
I'm like looking at, I'm like, none of us, we're all here. None of us have avatars. I'm tired.
Sorry.
So, Hank, what would you think for an empath that's starting out? Like, what would you suggest for them?
Well, first, I think everybody's empathic to some degree, some just more so than others. And one of the key things to that is to not judge what you're aware of. They have like the saying, if you name it, you claim it. And if you're judging what you're aware of, what you might be looking at as, wow, that person's angry, for them might be potency, but by you labeling it, it's kind of tethering itself, where you take it on a little bit more than if you just go, well, that's interesting. So like at the space of interesting point of view or allowance is the key for the empath, because then you can be aware of all that stuff and just make choices with that awareness versus having a judgment about it. And then with that point of view kind of anchors it in your duality and polarity.
I know
Kind
a lot
of
of
heady
people
answer.
will come in and they hope that a stone will fix that for them, and it's not. It's a lot of doing the work yourself, learning to feel it out here without having to own it in here. If people are able, I always talk about, the shaman apprenticeship that 3 out of 5 of us have done.
Which is ironic because Zane just messaged me as he said that.
Teacher.
It's like, wow, what is
it's like Beetlejuice, but we didn't even have to say his name.
No, but
That's
like,
a
what are the
Jedi
chances?
mind
Shaman
trick.
apprenticeship, Zane messages me.
What? I feel it. Because so much of that apprenticeship is learning your energy, the energy around you, the energy of other people, and learning to stand confidently in your own center and not having to run away. And that's one thing that annoys me when it comes with a lot of the empathic thing, is everybody feels the need that they have to protect and run away. And I'm like, no, you don't. Do the work. And learn to be confident in it. Quit thinking you have to run away from everything, because you can't run away from the world. The world's always going to be here. Learn to operate in it.
And I can say one thing that definitely doesn't work is drinking, because I drank for many, many years, and that made it worse in the long run. So like, don't medicate your gift away. It's like really empowerment of being able to use that awareness and create change and possibility in the world, and not be a victim to it, but rather be able to wield it. And that's the role of a shaman, is like the redistribution of life force energy as it comes into your field, being able to just repurpose it into something different. And I'll get the link to the apprenticeship. She said it's on Melissa and I have another website called Transcendent Minds, and it's all housed on that website. I'll put the link to it. And the next one starts this May. So if you are interested, all the information is on transcendentminds.org, and I'll get the link for you.
Yeah, it's a very full, intensive apprenticeship. It's like, well, when we were all doing it in person, it was one full weekend a month for 8 months. And then there was like individual things in between.
It was supposed to be 7 months, but we fell behind due to certain people in the class from time to time. So
we always add an extra month. I'm like, it's 8 months, because it's always ended up being 8 months. But it's a lot of information. And I've sat through it like, 3 times? And Hank, I think you've done it all 3, right?
Yep, I've been it since the beginning.
You and I could teach it, but I'm like, I don't have time to teach.
Do one of you intrepid souls want to explain to me and all of our watchers, or viewers rather, what's the difference between empathetic and empath? Like because for example, I've always been described as an empathetic person when someone tells me their sad story. But what's the difference between having empathy for someone and being an empath? What does that actually mean for someone?
Well, again, we're all empathic. That's
Mhm.
why you can walk into a room and if you ever go, oof, somebody was fighting in here, like you could feel the tension. Even if somebody's not arguing as you walk in, you know they were. We all have that. Some of us just pay a little more attention to it on purpose and better at it. But you can go, oh, well, I'm sorry, that you're feeling sad about something, but that doesn't mean you have to feel sad just because somebody else is. And I think for some people, like to feel that, like they automatically take it in, be it intentionally or not. And learning to go, I can honor that you're sad out here without having to pull it in here and have to feel it, and have to suffer it, and feel like I have to run away from it so I don't feel the things. So it's not really a difference. It's more of the level that you're taking it, right? Because it's like we can all draw. Some of us are naturally better at doing it. Others, we have to practice harder. Some of us can automatically draw.
Hey, my stick figures are amazing. Okay. Come
Right.
on now.
I used to love those shorts back in the 90s, the stick figure death, animes. Those were hilarious, especially when they were set to popular music videos. But it's learning to say, oh, nobody is upset if you walk in somewhere and it's a happy place, right? And you're happy. Yay. It becomes an issue where you walk in somewhere and maybe it wasn't such a happy thing. And now you're like, well, I was great until I came here. Now I can never go there again because every time I come here, it doesn't feel good.
Yes, but that's where you have to separate what you're feeling that. Is it yours or is it someone else's?
Mm-hmm,
Exactly. One of the comparisons could be you can go in and you can hold the water. You're holding that emotion. Doesn't mean you have to wear it and be wet.
Mm-hmm.
So
I like that.
Right?
It's kind of like, I always think of Pigpen from Peanuts. And how his stuff, so as he's walking by, if he's in a good mood and everybody gets happy, right? If he's walking by and he's grumpy, well, you can see that he's grumpy and you can see the stuff coming off of him, but that doesn't mean you have to get dirty in his grumpiness to know that he's grumpy, right? So it's learning to say, I can see it and I know what it is. I'd empathize. I can say, yeah, today was a bad day for you. I get that. I can understand that. I don't have to have the bad day because you are.
Mm-hmm.
So it's learning where that is and not having to take it in. And the apprenticeship, really, I mean, you do a lot of work. And you're going to find out about so many things about yourself that you probably don't want to in the beginning. It's going to be uncomfortable, but it's supposed to be. But then you always come out stronger and better on the other side. And you really learn what the shadow work is. This whole buzzword and shadow work and crap online, like you haven't seen shadow work till you have to come sit in it. And what is Zane calls it, what decaying, I think is the word he uses. Like you purposefully rip yourself apart and you become this blubbering mess, and you learn what it is and then you learn how to work with it because you can't run away from yourself. You're always yourself. You learn to work with your shadow side. But it's the Peruvian shamanism pretty much teaches at the Alta Masayok level. Or is he incorporating the Pampa Masayok in this one now? It's changing.
Well, the thing is that because of COVID, we are approaching the work a little bit differently. So we actually do more of the straight up Paco Kuna work on the Pampa Masayok level, building the Humpec Mesa. And then as part of the master program, building into the Wachuma Mesa, the Corandero Mesa. So, but it's really good. and everybody who was in the program that was like, we have several people that were alumni from the first year and the second year. They all liked it better than the weekends. Now, granted, I missed the in-person work and we're planning to do like 1 week-long retreats for some of the stuff that can't be done in person or online rather. But like having these little digestible bits, people were able to like really anchor it a lot better than getting a weekend information dump and then going home going, whoa, I don't know what just happened to me. Like it's been way more digestible the way we've been doing, and it's taking over 9 months this time. It's just about a 2 to 3 hour commitment per week. Of course, you can work on yourself more, but in terms of lessons, Zoom calls and everything, it's a relatively small commitment per week. And then 9 months was picked because that's the gestation period. That's how long it takes for a human to, cultivate in the womb and whatnot. So it's kind of like the recultivation and rebirthing of yourself through the alchemy process around the mesa, transforming your heaviness into light. Not getting rid of your heaviness, not ignoring your heaviness. It's transforming that hucha into fuel for your possibilities.
Yes. And I look forward to death rites in person.
Yes.
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 Yes, I know. Everybody wants to
Yes.
die again.
Yes, I do.
But don't
I
worry,
do.
if you join the program, you do get better. They're both still here, so don't get too
And as
scared
far
of
as
that.
what you can do before you go program side, as far as things like my husband, for example, he for the longest time didn't know that he was an empath. I used to laugh at him. I used to call him my little sponge because he would go to work and would come home in a horrid mood. What's wrong? I don't know. How? I don't know. I'm in a bad mood. I'm walk me through your day. Pause. Walk me through your day. And inevitably, he would walk himself through his day and stumble on, well, I had this really bad meeting with this one person. Okay, what were they doing? Well, they were in this mood. They did that and they did that. I was like, oh, it sounds like they were really upset about something. What happened before your meeting with them? Well, they had just had a meeting with management. Oh, is it possible that they had a really bad time and then came to your meeting with a bad time and you sucked it up like a little sponge and then ran home with it? Oh, so giving someone that space, giving yourself permission to pause once you realize I'm upset, I'm frustrated, I'm this, and I don't know why. When you reach that point is when you stop and go, okay, am I really upset, or did I just pick up someone else's pissy mood here in the last interaction I just had? Did I not give myself permission to let that crap go and not pick it up and take it with me? So giving yourself those spaces in that practice, then yeah, absolutely. As far as like these three go, the shaman training's fun. Like you guys have such cool energy to hang out with. Like you guys are some of the few practitioners that just steady thrum the whole way through. And it is very nice to hang out with. So
We pulled it. It's working.
Yeah.
One other tool for empaths, there is from another modality I practice called Access Consciousness. There's an app you can download that's free. It's called Who Does This Belong To? And they say you do this for 3 days. You can set the timer to different intervals. But for the empath, every once in a while, you'll just hear a bing. And that's your cue to ask, who does this belong to? Is it mine? And it's a training mechanism that over several days, if you stop yourself when you're not paying attention and ask, does this belong to me? Who does this belong to? You start to realize, wow, most of the stuff that I'm aware of through the day isn't even mine to begin with. And just being able to notice that, you start to separate out a lot of the stuff that's impacting you. Just like in Alex's story, like he didn't realize that he was being impacted by all these other people's things. But what if he had a little reminder, a little thing saying, hey, is this yours?
Yeah.
Throughout the day? That's a great tool, especially if you can do it for a good 3 days or 5 days and really anchor that skill of noticing what's mine, what's not.
Mm-hmm. So we're gonna slide over to the next question. It's kind of a long one. And it boils down to anybody in doing readings. If you find that maybe partway through the reading that you lose the connection to spirit, what have you found that works in keeping that connection strong or being able to call it back?
I just go ahead and reconnect to them. I go back and to realign myself. That's what I can't explain it, but I start in the intention to reconnect, and then I say, I'm having a conversation with the client, or I'm doing a healing with the client, but I'm also talking to spirit to reconnect. And as far as my healing work is concerned, I love it when I'm doing distant work because I am in my zone. I go into a trance, I'm in my zone, and I keep that connection there. It's hard for sometimes when I'm on location, it's great. I get to see them in person, but I really love the distant work because I'm in my zone and I keep that connection with spirit. And I have a protocol. In pranic healing, we have protocols, but sometimes spirit said, I need you to focus more on here. I need you to go here. And they would add something or they would take out something. And I don't know. I just get into a zone when I'm doing a distant work. In location, it's a little bit hard because you have distraction of all the other people, all the other energies around.
Not if you're on our side.
Trying to sell the other side, huh?
On the cool side, yeah.
Yeah, come to the
On
Cool
the cool
Kids Fair
side.
the next time.
So yeah, basically it's just, you know, keep the intention there and we just refocusing on the intention.
Would you say like
If you can-
refocusing on the client again, maybe to start that connection again?
Yes, refocusing on the client. That's a perfect word for it. Yeah.
And I think it might vary too. I mean, it doesn't happen often, but if it does, like if the energy just falls out and you were like in the middle of something, then I might also stop and maybe ask the question to myself, well, how can I say what's coming through in a way that they're willing and able to receive it? Because you might be about to drop something on that their part of their consciousness realize was what's coming, and they're like, no, they don't want to know. And so, like when I've had that happen in the past, and I ask that question, all of a sudden I get past life stuff because people can resonate and accept a past life more than what's actually showing up in their reality right now, and then you draw the dots and connect the two. So like sometimes if it's a client resistance, and sometimes you might have to be a little sneaky too. That's just one of the experiences that I've had.
Slide it in there anyway.
Yeah, slide it in anyway. Oh, I see in a past life you did blah blah blah. And they're like, oh, and they see it now in the real life, you know, in this lifetime, the same thing's happening over here, and they're like, where before they wouldn't have accepted it, and you just jumped to what was happening now.
Here we go.
There've been times that I've been reading where like if I notice that all of a sudden I was like, man, we just lost it together. Whatever cards I've got on the table, I'll start from the top. Like, hey, just to reiterate, this is what we've talked. This is here. This is what we connected. This is what we talked about here. This is what we've talked about here. And if I get to the end of my cards and I can't pick that strain back up and keep running with it, I'll ask my client, what else can we talk about? What else can we elaborate on? Which portion of this do you feel like the path we need to start pulling cards towards? And I let my client kind of go, I think it's this way. And I go, cool, let's look over there then. And let them kind of lead a little bit of that connection. Because everybody has off days. Everybody has days where you're literally just not feeling it. I think that a lot of us as practitioners and readers, though, like we have enough common sense and we've taken our ego out of the equation enough to know that if we're having that bad of a time, we won't read for people. At least I won't. I know that if I've had chunks of time where like I can't read for you, because I'm not in a state to do that for you. It would not be good for you. It's gonna suck for me. No, thank you. We'll circle back. Give me a couple weeks here. But I've noticed that honestly, giving it to the client a little bit and asking them, hey, which portions do you need more clarification on? Which aspects of this do you feel like, hey, this is the thing. You said something here. Let's talk about that. Let's elaborate that, and kind of let them pick the path a little bit. Can kind of reestablish that connection.
All right. So Maria Holly says, did you know that when you were a child that you had the gift? By the way, I love your kind, quiet spirit. You are the real deal, my dear lady.
Thank you. Actually, when I was younger, I sleepwalked, freaked my mom out, and I would get up, sleepwalk to one part of the house, and have this conversation where she couldn't see anyone. Freak her completely out. So she managed to put a stop to it. So I did not know. After that, it was never talked about. It was never, there was no conversation about it. Until later on, I started getting dreams. That's how it started. And I started seeing things in my dreams, and I would bring it up with her, and then she would not want to hear about it. So I did not know about, all the other family members. I didn't know that my great grandfather was a medicine man. I did not know that, we had family who were readers, and I just didn't know. It was something that she just didn't want any part of. So therefore, I shouldn't be in it. But I questioned a lot of it. And as I became an adult, I started going into really looking into it. But it was hard. It was hard because I wish I had the support. I wish that she wasn't that scared that she put a stop to it. So it was dormant for a while.
It's hard for me to imagine grandma being scared about anything.
It's not grandma. It's not my mother.
Oh, your mother. I just totally missed that. Oh my God. Yeah, now okay. Well, your mother should have talked some sense into her then.
Yeah. My grandma's all for it. I mean, gosh. Yeah.
I don't know where I jumped ship on that. It's been a long day. My
Have
brain's
we
fried.
mentioned that we're tired?
Right.
Yeah.
So Nikki asks, when do you decide whether or not to read a card in reverse, and is it a problem if you don't? From my card readers.
No.
Not a problem at all.
No.
I usually make the decision before I start reading. It's one way or the other. I don't switch gears in the middle of the reading. Oh, by the way, I don't like the way this card reads. Let me start reading upright. It's with the intention right before I start. Sometimes I feel like, you know what the hell? I'll read the reverse for this one and then go with it and see what comes out. I'm more comfortable with all upright because I know I can quickly get through the reading. I know what I'm looking for in the sense that I can see the card and immediately get the description, and sometimes the cards will tell me even upright, giving me that reverse meaning depending on what's laying around it, because the cards are telling me a story. Um, Reversals, when I'm helping with divination meetup, when we did this last time, Alex, you were in that group, and one of our people that have just started coming and just started reading cards, he's reading the reversals right off the rip, and it resonates with him, so he's jumping right into it. um, it's something for it. It depends on how you feel about it. If you want to read the reversals, go for it. If you don't want to read the reversals, go for it. It's how you feel about it.
See, that's interesting to me because with runes, like the way you pull the runes out, it's very clear if it's reversed or not. So with cards, it's kind of more judgmental.
I don't want to say judgmental. It again, a choice.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah, you kind of use your best judgment there, because like I've got certain decks that are really good at reading both right side up and reversal. The transparent tarot deck
Mm-hmm.
is meant to be layered on top of itself with cards because the images are so small and the rest of the card is clear. It's meant to be layered with other cards to create a bigger image. So that deck, absolutely, whatever direction I pull that card out, that's the way it lands, because there's something in that image, there's something in there that I'm meant to be seeing so that I can tell you. And then, yeah, there are other decks and there are other readings that I do that, like Joan said, like, this card needs to come out and there's something here that needs to be said. You get less hung up on right side meaning, reverse meaning, and you get more stuck on why all of a sudden is this color so damn important? I've pulled this card 8,000 times and all of a sudden this is the first time I've noticed this blue. Hey, this blue is really important. Let's go down this path together. There are certain aspects of the card you as a reader will pick up on that you'll realize, ignoring all the rest of the stuff in this card, for some reason, this piece right here is what we're talking about right now. That's where your intuition guides you.
And I've heard it in some of the tarot classes that we done in the store that some readers will choose not to do reverse in front of the client to keep the client more open and less out of a panic mode, right? Because most that come for readings know inverse is bad. So they may only have their cards laid upright, but they'll instinctively know or energetically know which one is more of the reverse meaning of what's going on in the reading. So even if it's upright, that energy coming off the card could be not the happy-go-lucky, everything is bunnies and rainbows. We're going to touch on that other part of that card as well.
It's not just the cards, Melissa. It's also what we're picking up off of that person. We're picking up the energy from spirit. It's a whole package deal. It's not just reading, what's in front of us.
No, but they were just referring to like,
right.
Because sometimes, I'm sure you've seen people, if a card comes up negative, don't they kind of, or not negative, but reverse, they kind of sit back, they pull away from the table.
Oh, like the Tower card today, or, I had the Devil card show up a couple times too, and they look at me like, oh,
you're burning in hell, and this Christian hell. Oh.
I know. I love that with the death card. People are like, "Oh my god!" I'm like, "It's okay. This is a good thing. I swear." Let me tell you why. Calm down. Please sit down. Oh god.
Come back.
Well, I feel like you get almost a feel for people when they do sit down with you, based on, I've sat down with clients before where I can tell by their energy, I can tell by how nervous they are, that there are nicer decks that I'll pull out that are a lot more softer in images and a lot more
Fluff
just a
and
lot
buff.
more fluff. Absolutely. Because
fluff
you
and buff
want
readings.
your message, but you want to kind of be handheld and patted on the back while I tell you this message. There are other decks that people sit down and are like, give it to me straight. I'm like, all right, I got a deck for you. Hang on. Like, this is going to hurt. Brace yourselves. You kind of get a feel for when your client sits down, how they would like to receive this news. If they want the really, oh, honey, it's okay. It'll be all right. Or if they want the, all right, brace yourself. Here it is. Like you can feel that off your client.
So speaking of decks, who wants to give the difference between what's the difference between the tarot deck and an oracle deck? And I get this all the time. We do actually have a blog on our website explaining it, but this can be such a long answer sometimes. I'm like, oh.
Well, I think the short answer is tarot is always based on the same number of cards, and oracle isn't necessarily.
Yeah, tarot's always in
close?
the major, minor arcanas,
and isn't the tarot deck also loosely based, or there's some sort of correlations with the Kabbalah or something like that, where an oracle deck is whatever they choose to make it?
There's some basis within. So the basic with the tarot deck, how I've always kind of looked at the distinction is that tarot decks will give you very detailed, pointed looks at situations. Whereas oracle decks will kind of show you a parting in the bushes of where your path might lead, how to get yourself out of that certain situation, what kind of work you should be gearing yourself towards. The tarot decks have a correlation between, regular playing cards, akin to the Lenormand decks, the Rider-Waite deck. Like, it's the four suits, it's the trump cards, the major arcana and the minor arcana. Whereas oracle decks, I've got decks that are 24 cards. I've got decks that are 200 cards. Oracles are a lot more, I've always viewed them as broad stroke of I need, what is higher spirit trying to tell me? What kind of focus should I do? What kind of meditation work do I need to be incorporating in? And that's something I'll use an oracle deck for. If I've got I am stuck on this damn problem and I need some perspective, that's when I'll pull a tarot card, because they'll give you that harder look at, have you considered this? Whereas oracle's here, to me, tarot is here. But that's just me, personally.
Oracles have a lot of different themes. Tarot, you can expect the same 78 cards in each deck. You're going to see the pictures similar, hear the same names. So you have that. But the oracles, you can use them so many different ways. And you can pick up one deck that's just going to talk about how you should feel, or if it's just a quick message, or another one that's going to talk more about your soul and your chakras and align this and do that and work on your attitude and things of that nature. So it's really, and of course the imagery also helps. So it's how you feel, what you want to pick up and what do you really want to work on.
Oracle tends to be a little easier when you're starting out with card divination too, of learning to work with cards, because especially some of those tarot can be pretty involved in a lot. If you're really wanting to learn everything in that one piece of artwork, it can be kind of daunting.
But it doesn't have to be.
No, it's just, go with whatever deck you're drawn to and start working with it is really the important thing. So Amber says, I have a question for the healers. Do you do soul retrieval? And if you do, how do you know when the client is ready?
For those of us that are not healers, what is soul retrieval?
You're a healer. Shush your face.
I'm not
she's asking for the audience.
Well, I mean, not like how Hank and Maria are. I've got my own version of magic, but to the healer, what does that mean?
Right.
I actually.
Yeah, what does soul retrieval mean to you guys?
It's when an event happens that's so epic that a part of the person's essence lives in that point in time and space, and you're simply getting that little soul piece, taking it out of time and space, letting it catch up maturity wise to the person there now, because it stopped maturing wherever it got frozen, and then reintegrating. And in terms of how they're ready, for me, it's just I know. It's like, oh, I see this little line of energy coming off the client and going somewhere, and I know, oh, it's that soul piece ready to come back, and then we go get it. And there's a couple different ways to do it depending on the tradition, and because there's ways in the tradition that Melissa and Maria practice. There's other things from other traditions. Some people call it different things, but at the end of the day, it's reincorporating a part of the person that's really stuck in time and space, oftentimes like PTSD type of things, or major traumas from abuse and that type of stuff. But it could also be something silly, like stubbing your toe and your mom didn't coddle you. So it doesn't necessarily have to be a big thing, but to a 5-year-old, things that we think are small are huge. So like it could be things like that. And in Peru, the very first thing they do for a new baby is they do a soul retrieval for being cut from the mother. First thing they do. And then they do a thing where they kind of close down the nawi at the navel, because they say the children of the north walk around with leaking navels because we learned to regulate our energy centers to stop all this information from coming in and overwhelming us. So for our empaths out there, you know, what would your experience be now if you were taught that at a young age, how to regulate that?
Because it is a tradition where it's a lot of feeling. You know, us up here, we say a lot of "I see" or "I know." They don't see psychically like we do up here. It's a lot of feeling and knowing that energy. So, and everything runs through the belly button, the belly. So throwing that open. Spring time closing it. Maybe it's wide open. Let's see. Yes, Lori's like, yay. Mine's sitting over here. He's too lazy to come over. Well, so we're almost, well, actually we are over 9 o'clock. There is one last question. It's so large. It's going to take up the whole screen.
Oh, where did Maria go?
Right. Oh, they're hiding.
No, we're hiding. We're not here.
Oh, and it cuts it all off. Like it still doesn't show me what the rest is. So, you know, helping other people find themselves, but remember, you can't force somebody to do anything that they're not ready for.
Exactly.
So, keep that in mind.
The part of that question there that said, I feel like I'm responsible for him, blah, like, I'm going to throw a little bit of Al-Anon at you. Everybody's got a God. You're not that person's God. You are not responsible for whatever the hell that person is going through. You can be there to support them. You can be the shoulder to cry on when they need it. You can be their cheerleader. You can be someone that goes, absolutely, I believe in you. Go for it. You can be the person that goes, I can't, helping you means I have to get away from you. I can't touch this anymore. You being responsible for another person, I mean, unless this is a small child, which of course parents are responsible for their, but even then, that person is their own person. They've got their own higher power. They've got their own connection to spirit. That's on them. You are not responsible for anybody else's nonsense. It's you and a hula hoop. Outside that hula hoop, not your problem.
Also, you don't know what kind of lessons they came into this life to learn. So it might be a hard lesson that they need to learn. They need to go through it. Yes, be there for them. Help them pick up the pieces, but they may need to go through this lesson. I've been asked this a lot of, well, can I bring my mom here, or my you know, no, like, you know, they have to come into this and say, yes, I want to be a part of this healing. And that's what we are as healers. We are a part of your healing. We're not going to do it for you. We're not a magic pill that you're just going to come in, have the energy, and then, oh, everything is fine, everything is fixed. No, that's not it. It is a process.
It's like wearing a Fitbit. You don't get the Fitbit and all of a sudden you're thin.
Is that not how that works? Damn.
It's like a rock. Well, Melissa, we were having the conversation before we started. She started talking about her stones. The stone is not going to fix it, but it's like a Fitbit.
I love that example. I'm taking that example.
That's great. I love it.
I'm selling it $5 a piece. Okay. So, but it's a tool. You can't, even your Peloton, if you're going to buy one, a bike, a treadmill, just because it's sitting there doesn't make you healthy. You have to do something about it. So same thing with these cards, same thing with your pendulums, with your tuning forks, with your little penises that you throw, whatever it might be. You have to know, you have to use it, and you have to use it properly.
Well, I think at the beginning of that question, it also touched on the fact that, like, being around this person, like, brings your energy down, and like you feel different when you're around them. that harks back to when we were talking about empaths and like recognizing what's yours and what's not yours.
Right.
Recognizing that you can still vibrate at the same frequency you've been rocking at. You can still be having a good day while that person's having a not so good day. And that doesn't make you a bad person for having a good day while they're not having a good day. It doesn't make them a bad person for having a bad day while you're having a good day. It just makes them a person. So recognizing what's yours and what's theirs, and feeling that distinction.
And if
And
you do
just to
feel
play devil's advocate, maybe you're not the only teacher here. Maybe
Yes.
they're here to help you learn to stay in control and not to feel that you have to be responsible.
Yes.
You
the
know,
mirror
both
works both
sides.
ways.
Mhm.
Yeah. And the thing I was going to add is if you are around, like if you're an empath, which oftentimes gets partnered with a narcissist, like a moth to a flame, and the narcissist is pulling all kinds of energy, one thing that you can learn is you let the energy flow through you, not from you. And then you're not going to feel that draw and that drain. And that's like if you've ever been attuned to Reiki or a lot of these other practices, you're tapping into that source energy and just letting it flow. And oftentimes narcissists will go away when that happens because they don't know what to do if they just keep getting unlimited energy and they're not draining you. And they might totally shift the experience around them.
So let's see. There was a question about where's a good place to order cards. This is where I'm going to be biased
Oh,
and
yes.
say,
Yes.
Dude, okay, no. As somebody who
Here.
buys more decks than I will ever use on a regular basis, your inventory, it changes like every 2 to 3 weeks, and that is so nice. Because every time I come in there, you've got new decks I've not heard of. You've got new fun things like, ooh, I need that deck. Oh my God, I need that deck so badly. You come in person. Come in person, and honestly, come to the psychic fair and go to readers, because there are certain decks that I've read with clients that they're like, that I need that deck that talks to me, that feels good. A lot of us, I know me personally, I'll show you every deck I bring with me. I don't care. I'm happy to play and share. You know, find readers around you and say, well, what kind of decks do you have? What kind of art do you have? Google search images, and then come to Melissa and be like, hey, have you heard of the blah 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 deck? Chances are she's either got it or she's got the distributor to order it for you.
And also on your YouTube channel, you have a lot of like deck reviews now. Like you're
and
getting
gee, there's a couple getting ready to come up.
Yeah. So like it's not only that she has the decks, you can actually see readers going through, giving their impressions of the deck and how to use it and seeing the artwork. I mean, so it's really unique. It's not only that she has it, but she's providing a lot of the resources. And if it's not up there yet, I'm sure if you message her, that might be the next one to get reviewed.
Yeah, I mean, there's quite a few decks on the website. I don't have everything up there yet. I think like the last I looked, it said that we had something like 2,400 items live on the website, and there's still like over 7,000 that aren't, that need pictures and descriptions. And I'm tired when I come home. Do website work. So I try. So Lori's asking about putting oils on the navel, and this came up while we were talking about, or Hank, you were talking about, like when they do, the soul retrieval for newborns and stuff.
I've never heard of that, so I can't speak to that at all. Is that a thing?
Actually, I've heard that about essential oils, that if you want it, it's like putting essential oils on the bottoms of your feet, the soles of your feet.
Bottoms of the feet, behind the ear, carotid arteries. But I've never heard the belly button.
Yep, I heard
that's
also a spot.
Yeah.
Basically, any place on your body that's the most permeable, like your bottom of your feet, you wear shoes all the time, so it's very permeable. Behind the ears, all that stuff is like really places where the oil can get in very easily. So why not the navel? Everything else used to go through there, right?
Always be mindful of which oils need a dilution before you put them on your body. It's just as a heads up.
Yeah, general rule of thumb: tea tree, lavender, and Fregonia, the only three that they recommend to use neat. Everything else must be diluted. And even those three, if it's the first time, dilute them, because if you're allergic, you're going to be really allergic to the oil. So it's really good to test that out very diluted first.
Okay, so for our last question tonight, since it's like 9:15.
Yeah, and Anya yelled at me already.
Is she?
She yelled at me before we even got started. She's like, "Oh, this again?"
Like, honey, I'm showing you off. Like, now we all know.
I know. Well, she doesn't know that. I might not go over well.
We didn't see a thing.
Right.
Ernie asks, does today's full moon affect you all?
Didn't Greg come over and ask us, Hank, if the moon was full? Because he comes over and is like, oh my God, these clients today, The moon's full, isn't it? It is. I know it is.
You were saying that in a very good way, though. Like, these clients rock. No.
Yeah.
No, but it does, like, the full moon does seem to create a lot of intensity for people, which is really a good time to get the readings because you're getting illuminated with all your shadow and everything, and they might be intense, but it's exactly what you need. So,
Right.
I mean, I work in the medical field, and I still have practitioners and doctors that I know that will, to this day, hands down, swear, "Oh, full moon, ER is going to be crazy." And like clockwork, it is like you know, predators are more active, animals get crazier, you know, energy gets raised. Like, absolutely, the full moon is a fun time to play with.
I used to work at a bank in a call center, and I would call off on the full moons because the calls were crazy insane. Lady blew a whistle in my ears. I had to call suicide hotline. I had police go out to a guy's house. Like, everything you could imagine happened on the full moons. And then when I finally connected that thought, you know, like, you know what? I don't need to work these days. That's what vacation days are for. That's what sick days are for. I never came in for another one.
They started picking up on the fact that I was scheduling vacation around full moons. And they couldn't understand, oh, really? The same time of the month? No, it's not why. But you're right. What was it? The lack of sleep. That's been me the last couple of days. Lack of sleep. Just because there's things I need to either think about or work on. And then maybe rather than saying it's a full moon and it's going to be crazy, are we putting intent into that? Are we putting it out to the universe and making it happen? So,
Because you expect it to happen.
Point of view creates reality.
Is it
what you
Base
think
rule
you
of-
create?
Base rule of spell work. It's all about your intention.
That's right.
Yep. And we are oftentimes our own worst sorcerer against ourselves.
Yep.
Yes. The moon is always full. It's just our perception of it.
And if the moon's not full, by God, Mercury has to be in retrograde.
And what happens if they both happen at the same time?
Get a helmet.
But the moon is full all the time. It just is on your perception where you're standing on this earth.
No, that may be true, but the tide, oh no, that's just all the time, right? The tide doesn't change anymore with the actual lunar phase. It's just like a daily thing, right? Tide in, tide out. I don't know how that works.
Tide in,
So
tide out, yeah.
the tide is high tide is when the moon is, if you are experiencing high tide and you're standing in front of the ocean, it's because the moon is furthest away from you and pulling that water towards itself. Where it's low tide is if you're standing in front of the water and the water's further out from you. It's because the moon is further away from you that way, and it's pulling the water away from you. That's how tides work.
Cool. And how does that correlate to the moon being full or not, if it does?
The moon, so high tide and low tide happen every day, every single day, like clockwork. You can track it. There are almanacs
so it
for
doesn't
it.
matter.
It does not matter if the moon is full or waxing, waning. The tides happen based on where the moon is located. And then how we view the moon, be it, you know, waxing, waning, full, new, is based on our position on the earth relative to, I'm looking at the moon, where is the sun? Because what we see in the moon is actually the sunlight reflecting off of the moon. And for more information, I just recorded a podcast about the moon phases, actually.
Oh,
Because
look
I'm
at
on
that.
Fox
What a
Witchcraft
nice little
Wine.
segue to
Yeah,
plug that.
right.
Foxed wine and
Yeah,
witchcraft. Please, boxed wine and witchcraft. I said boxed witchcraft in mine. Maybe that too.
Maybe that too.
Yeah, I always, yeah. Well, it's the moonlight that does it. Well, put your stones in the sun. Well, I can't do the sun. That's masculine. Moonlight is sunlight reflected off the moon. It's science.
Okay, you ready for the nerd thing? You ready for the nerd thing? J.R.R. Tolkien, again, hauling back to my lovely little avatar lady. Tolkien actually viewed the sun as feminine. So if you believe it, there's a fandom to support it, by God. There is somewhere written that we can back your shit up.
Well, in the tradition of shamanism and practice, everything is looked at as feminine, even though there is masculine and feminine.
Really?
Yeah, really.
Yeah.
Tis true.
That's
It is all
amazing.
part of the Kausai Pacha. It's all like the field of living energy, the birthing and of everything being here. So it's all therefore feminine.
I would love you guys to give a TED Talk. Because I am fascinated by the work that you guys do, because it's something I've never had experience with it. I've never come across it. I would love to sit through a TED Talk of like, here is what we're doing, broad strokes of what it looks like, where we're tapping source from, how we use it. Because I think there's a lot of preconceived notions about healing and shamanship. that I think you guys could easily put
I
in
like
order.
that shamanship. That's
Well,
good.
it's better than
Anyway.
Shamamana.
Now.
And now everybody will have it in their head as we end the broadcast.
You're
Shenanigans.
welcome.
I'm gonna have my friend. I'm hoping, and maybe he's still watching. I saw Jake like the thing. He's a musician friend of mine from high school, and if he could play me that with Shenamana, and then I could have it as
Oh
my
my
little
gosh.
theme song when I do my podcast. Oh, that would be so good. And Melissa will hate me because I'm going to play it in the store every time I walk in.
Well, I still think I should have our version of the I Eat Hoochah shirt made.
We should do that. We
You
should
know,
have
it
done
was
that
like-
already.
Yes.
Just say.
Yes. Yes.
But maybe we should do some podcasting on some of those little topics.
Do you want to
Just-
repeat that one more time for us that need to hear it one more time?
The correct name of the podcast, right?
You said
No.
I eat hoocha?
Oh, that. I thought you meant the name of the podcast.
Okay. Because I drink hooch, but I don't know if it's the same as you eat hoocha.
No, this isn't bad curdled hooch. No.
Are you sure?
Yeah. I mean, it might feel like it in the very beginning when you're learning to do it, but not really. I don't think I really ever had a problem with it. Though I think
didn't.
Xander said like sometimes, you might get like I think he's gotten sick doing it before, but so the heaviness, the things that take you out of Aini, it's a heaviness, they call it hucha. And in this tradition, you learn to take that heaviness from other people, and they call it eating because you do your energy transfer a lot of times through the navel, through your Cusco. So you're eating it.
Nom, nom, nom.
So yeah. We need hucha.
We could add that as a little thing under the bottom of the t-shirt.
That's how we'll
Hucha,
make it
nom,
Oh
nom,
my
nom.
god, it needs to be a little shaman
little
Pac-Man.
Yes.
Oh.
Yes.
Yeah, because he could be having his old mesa with him. Oh yeah, we love it.
Here
This
we
is
go.
evolving.
Shanamana.
Da,
Dun,
da, da,
dun,
da,
dun,
da. You can tell the days went way too long now.
So yeah, maybe Hank will have to sit down and do some podcasting maybe on.
Okay. I'm game anytime.
But in the meantime, the one for the store that's currently already out there is Boxed Wine and Witchcraft.
Mhm.
So you will find, bless you, my son, who's in the background, if you guys all heard
Happy
that.
birthday to the boy.
That was the
Happy
boy.
birthday. Yes, happy birthday to the boy real soon.
Yeah,
And happy
boy,
birthday
yes.
to the boss.
Aw.
Yes.
What? Who? No.
Ooh, what? The
Yeah,
boss.
the boss.
It's Aries season.
Right? But what was I saying before he sneezed and like,
Podcast.
Podcast.
yes,
Boxed wine. You need some more boxed wine.
I do. I still have some of that Ravens Glen that was really good from the other night. So there's different episodes on the podcast than what's on the live, though sometimes I take these lives and I try to clean up some audio and stuff and throw it up there too. So, but there's Alex, you just recorded, what was it, one for the podcast, and then there's 2 or 3 tarot reviews getting ready to hit.
Yeah, I just recorded moon phases and kind of work you can do during certain moon phases. I just reviewed 2 tarot decks. I've got a couple other decks on standby, ready to go. And then I think the next one we're going to do is altar tools and what are all these altar tools and what you should be doing with them.
Right. Awesome. So there's that. I'm actually recording 3 podcast episodes tomorrow. So tomorrow's a busy day. So those will be coming up soon. That will not be on YouTube. Well, I don't know. Maybe the one we'll do with the tarot, that might be YouTube too for some questions, but at least 2 of them will not be.
Mm-hmm.
So slightly different content in both places. And Witch's Brew, Lori, I'm kind of tempted with that Witch's Brew now.
The wine is so good.
It is. Throw it in the crock pot with some, cinnamon clove and warm. It's very yummy.
Put a crazy straw in it. Or, no.
Just walk around with the whole crock pot. This is my
Right.
glass. But thank you everybody for joining us. We do this the last Sunday of every month except December, after we've had our psychic fair. So that's why we're kind of goofy and punch drunk, because we're tired, but we're still kind of riding high from the energy and having a good time. Sangria Witch's Brew, that would be good. But join us next month. Otherwise, you can catch me and Marianne Wednesday mornings at 10 a.m. talking all things earthbound spirits, ghosts, negative energy, portals, and all sorts of fun things. So you can ask questions live there and how that works. But any parting words, my colleagues there, before we run away and hide in our pajamas and blankets?
No.
No.
Drink a lot of water. Drink
Be
some
kind
damn
to
water.
each other.
Drink your damn water.
I got it.
Need that water.
I'll plug my acronym for COVID. Every day you should COVID, which is an acronym for create opportunities via intuiting divinity. So everybody get your COVID in every day.
Look at that. Look at that.
He's got to be all like serious.
Uh-huh. No, but that is a very good thing to like change the framework and the point of view around COVID.
Right.
And what if it could be a possibility instead of something that we say you to COVID, right?
Mm-hmm. You know, if anything I've learned, having those battles with the universe and the sarcasm, like she usually wins.
Yeah.
And she's got a real wry sense of humor.
But
Yes,
Spirit gave me that acronym, so I think it was okay.
You're not plagiarizing Spirit, are you?
No, this is totally me.
Right.
And I was trying to figure out the acronym, and they're like, "Silly, we're going to give it to you. Just sit there." And I'm like, "Oh," and then it came.
All right. All right, everybody. Well, thanks for joining us, and catch us next month. In the meantime, check out the other content on YouTube and on the podcast. And we look forward to seeing you next month.
Bye, everyone. Shanamana.
Da, 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 da. Sing it out, Hank.
Shanamana.